What's up, guys? Welcome to Ring Chasers, our debut show. We'll be breaking down the Patriots here. I'm joined by the one, the only Corey Walsh. How you doing, man?
Good. How's it going?
It's going good besides the Red Sox. Yeah, we were talking before saying I'm going to talk about the Red Sox tonight. There's no doubt about it. Red Sox suck, but it's football season, so we're getting into it. Very exciting time for Patriots Nation. We got Mac Jones under center, hopefully this year. Who knows?
Yeah, your guess is as good as mine at this point. Bill's a cryptic man.
Yeah, definitely. And you told me before the show Brian Hoyer is going to start tomorrow night, possibly. Oh God.
Yeah, that would only make me turn off the TV as fast as anything.
What game would we watch tomorrow night? I haven't even checked the slate, but what game would we watch tomorrow night if we were not watching the Patriots?
I could watch any of the games. I'd watch the dissemblance of the New York Giants, honestly, at this point, who all seem to hate each other, seeing as they're in fistfights in practice 24/7.
You know what, though? That's a little grit. I kind of like that. I like the fist fights. I like the grit. I don't see that from Cam Newton at all. Mac Jones, I think he's got to get a little louder. I want to see some fights at Patriots practice.
I would probably too, but I feel like Bill would punish all of us and make it so no one good plays tomorrow when we're watching all the third and fourth string players.
And then he would start Brian Hoyer for sure and have him play all four quarters.
Brian Hoyer would be smart. He's like, this is my time. This is how I show all the other coaches I still got it. I'm going to stand back.
Now, I love Bill Belichick, but I will not be happy if I do not know what number Mac Jones. If Mac Jones walks out under center with the number 50 on tomorrow night, I'm going to flip because I'm on NFLshop.com. I'm ready to go to order that jersey, but I don't want to order number 10 because you know what? He might not wear number 10. Who knows? We don't know. He's wearing freaking 50 with the Patriots because they got to earn their number. It's the Patriots way. But yeah,
I'm totally fine with the number 50 for the preseason. It's like the weird season where the Browns said you had to earn your stripes. So in the preseason, they didn't have the brown down the middle. They just had the all orange. And I was just like, that subtle difference. It's a little weird. I kind of like it.
Yeah.
So that 50 would be interesting.
Yeah. That Hard Knocks. I love that Hard Knocks with Baker Mayfield stuff. Brown's getting better. So that's exciting stuff for football. Hopefully the Patriots can fall suit.
We've kind of switched places for now. So we'll see.
Sadly, I'm crying on the inside. All right, guys. So this is Ring Chasers. So basically, we're going to be breaking down the New England Patriots. We're going to be talking smack. We're going to be giving our opinions on games, all that good stuff. We're going to be doing one episode a week right now. We might get in a little post-game review on Sundays as well, but we're still talking about that. This coincides with our launch on the Sports 2.0 network of TalkinBoston.com. So it's going to be all things Boston sports, Patriots, Red Sox, Bruins, and Celtics. So very excited about that. I write for that site. Corey is going to be doing some Patriots writing there as well. So Corey, why don't you tell the people a little bit about yourself before we get in the show?
I am a diehard Pats fan. My first season, the first game I actually ever watched was 2006 AFC Championship. And that was when the Patriots blew their halftime lead against the Colts. And you're probably wondering why that make you a Patriots fan. Well, the simple answer is that Corey Dillon was their running back. And I didn't know anything about sports. And I'm like, oh, that's my name. Let's roll. And then Corey Dillon retired right after that. So I never watched Corey Dillon actually past that point forward. But since then, I've been with the Patriots with ride or die, which has been pretty easy to accomplish, I guess, throughout our time.
Yeah. It's been very easy.
But yeah, other than that, I do some sports stuff on the side. I currently write for SB Nation, Fear the Sword, Cavaliers website, but I'm excited to do this because I love the Patriots and this is gonna be fun.
Yeah, so same with me. So most of the Sports 2.0 network followers know me from baseball, but I do love the Patriots. I've loved the Patriots ever since I saw Tom Brady in a football uniform. There's Jesus Christ and there's Tom Brady. Those are the two most important things in the world. But Tom Brady is the man. I mean, there's no other way to describe it. Tom Brady is outstanding. I love him. I wish he was still with the Patriots. What are you going to do? It's a new era, though. We still love Patriots football. So we're going to break this down on the show tonight. Corey, we got a little ad read to start the show. Bet Rivers promo. Why don't you break it down for the listeners?
All right, August 12th through August 31st, players who bet a $50 or more single real money on 4 preseason NFL games each weekend of the promotion period for a $25 NFL free bet, preseason and regular season each week. Free bet loaded each week on Tuesday by 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
There you go. All right, guys. So if you want to bet on the preseason, do it with Bet River Sportsbook. Michigan, Indiana, Colorado, Iowa, Illinois. The promo code is SPORTS20. You're going to get a $250 match from us. And then on top of that, you're going to get this promotion if you want to bet on the preseason. My recommendation betting on the preseason, bet the under. Always bet the under. Don't bet anything else but the under. As we saw.
The lights out preseason game.
Yeah, I mean, as we saw in on the Hall of Fame game, I mean, it was, what was it, 3-0 at the half? Or it was yeah. So bet the under. Starting quarterbacks don't play. People don't play. Bet the under. All right, first segment of the night. Cam watch. Got to break it down. We got the fancy font. Fancy Cam font.
Cam's fancy font that only he can truly understand, and he's the only person that uses it. So whoever created this weird ass font is having a good time because Cam makes it look interesting, I guess.
Now, if you don't follow Cam Newton on Instagram, I highly recommend it because, like, when he didn't have a job last year and I was like watching his YouTube channel, he's like walking on the treadmill saying, yo, good things are going to happen. Good things are going to, I'm back. I'm going to be back. I'm going to just watch. I'm going to make noise in the league again. He still hasn't made any noise. He makes noise on Instagram through this font. First of all, I have one question for you, Corey. How does he get like the M's and the W's and the H's with like dashes over? I think he does. I haven't broke it down, but like we were only able to get the C and the A. So maybe he has a special font. I don't know.
I think he hires a publicist. Just create. He's like, go. I need my own language. Go create this new font. I'll give you $50. Go wild. See what you come back with. And the guy's just like, I just threw a line over the M. And he's like, oh my God, chef's kiss. This is wonderful.
His publicist literally must want to kill himself every time he's got to write out these letters because like
100%.
You know how long it takes to write like a long Instagram post if you're like just writing something and you got to do it with like the C's and the A's and like in gibberish and stuff. I mean, first of all, Cam Newton, stop writing in this language. You have to be good to write with this font. That's my opinion.
It's not going to catch on if you're throwing the ball 5 yards underneath your wide receiver on every out route. Hate to break it to you, Cam. Sorry.
Like if Tom Brady was writing in this font, it'd be acceptable because he's Tom freaking Brady. But Cam Newton, you're not good enough to write in this font. Yeah, I know you're a former MVP, but you got to step your game up. We got a comment here. Ryan Newple, excited for the new show, guys. Ryan, thanks for trusting us with Talking Boston. We really appreciate it. All right.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, Ryan's the man. So let's get into it. Cam Newton versus Mac Jones. Corey, what are you looking for in this quarterback battle? We got some people saying that it's Cam's job. Bill Belichick has said it's Cam's job. If you follow every single beat writer in New England, they're all saying it's an open competition and Mac Jones looks pretty good. I don't know who to trust. So what have you heard?
Frankly, I'm just as lost as I think every other Patriot fan is. If you follow the game threads, if you follow like Mike Reese or all the reporters who are there, it seems like every day it's like, oh, Mac looked really good today. This was Mac's worst week. Cam looked really good today. Here's a compilation of Cam Newton's best throws. But a month ago, he was throwing them basically fan balls into the audience on like end zone, red zone targets. So honestly, I feel like it's Bill. He's cryptic. I know Cam's technically the starter, which is really nice and easy. So no one asks about it for the rest of the preseason. But between you and me, I think we both agree that we both think that it's anyone's game.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say, honestly, because I think, honestly, Corey, I think I like Cam Newton a little better than you. I don't know if that's possible. I think I do. Like when we were talking about doing this podcast, I was like, Cam Newton, I kind of like, I don't know. I shouldn't say I like him, but I do like him better than you in the sense of he has NFL experience, right? That's something that he has over Mac Jones. So if they're even, I don't know who you go with. You got two sides here. You could say, they're even. All right. Let me go with the rookie just to see, we're going to suck this year. And maybe by week 8, week 9, we'll be pretty damn good. Or you go with Cam Newton and say he gives us the best chance to win week 1 against Miami. I don't know. I mean, what do you think Bill Belichick would do in that situation if they were both even?
I think it depends on what type of offense you want to run or how you think your team's going to be constructed. Because as far as we know, if a team's going to be like it is last year, if you're going to start Cam, it's going to be basically the same thing. It's going to be a run-heavy offense where they try to make Cam throw like 10 to 15 times a game. Then they rely on the powerful run game that they have between Michelle, who's not that great, Damian Harris, Ramondre Stevens, James White. They're going to probably use that core 4 group. And then they're going to just hope that Cam can complete a few slants and ride the defense out and hope the defense puts them in good positions to win. If you put Mac Jones at quarterback, it's going to be a lot more of what we saw kind of with Tom Brady. I'm not saying Tom Brady and Mac Jones are at all similar. I don't care what the draft comparisons were. But the offense is going to be a lot of dink and dunks, a lot of slants, a lot of creative ways to get receivers open and not far yardage. I mean, if you look, it's hard to judge how good of a quarterback Mac Jones is because when you look at his weapons he's had, they're all in the NFL for wide receivers. It's not like he was throwing to kids out of like Western Mississippi State and he was making them look like they're going to be NFL draft bound.
No,
last time I checked, his number 1 receiver last year won the Heisman. So can't say he sucks, And
No,
it's a tough. It's hard to also judge Alabama quarterbacks because you look at the past 4 or 5, they all kind of suck.
yeah, I mean, I think Mac Jones is different though because like you look at like a Tua. Tua's going to be okay. Like I know the questions are in the air, but Tua's going to be okay. Jalen Hurts is going to be okay, I think. But with Alabama and Mac Jones, like he's been in Nick Saban's system. That's going to help when you get to Bill Belichick. It's the same exact thing. It's the Patriot way. It's the Alabama way. That's why they're winners. But the thing that I'm really looking forward to seeing, though, I do want Mac Jones to start because I'm buying his jersey and I want to have some value wearing it around the streets of Boston this year. But the one thing I will say is I want to see what Cam Newton does with weapons. I mean, Bill Belichick, he goes out. Tom Brady winning a Super Bowl down in Tampa Bay made Bill Belichick like not be able to sleep at night because they went out in free agency and they took the whole freaking market. I mean, you got so many new targets. You got Jonnu Smith, you got Hunter Henry. The 2 tight end sets back, like we were saying, is it going to be like the Aaron Hernandez Gronk sort of thing? Probably not. It's going to be a little different. But that 2 tight end set that we rely on in New York or New England, that's back with these guys. So like, I want to see what Cam Newton looks like with weapons. Don't you want to see that?
Yes and no, because I'll say on paper, you're like, oh my God, he has such better wide receivers than last year. But I honestly think the wide receivers, as terrible as the talent was in terms of depth, he was underthrowing them more than they were dropping it. So at the end of the day, I think I'll be more tortured watching Cam Newton underthrow the wide receivers we just threw the bank at versus watching Mac Jones throw comfortable little 5 to 10 yard slants and being like, you know what? At least the ball is moving. Chains are moving somewhat. And I don't have to worry about Cam's erratic throwing motion for another week.
You know, the one thing I have read and listened to about Patriots camp right now is Mac Jones is starting to throw a lot more interceptions. Now, you can take this 2 ways. You can say this is bad, but from what I've heard and what I think truly is, this is a good thing. This is Mac Jones saying, listen, I'm going to start I'm not just throwing guys wide open. I'm trying to fit balls in tight windows. There's going to be a learning curve, obviously, but I think it's good that Mac Jones is starting to throw interceptions. I think it's good that he's struggling a little bit because that means he's trying to learn. That means he's trying to get better. And I don't think it's an open competition. I really don't, because I do think Cam gives us the best chance to win week 1 just because of an NFL experience. But would I like to see Mac Jones week 4, week 5, week 6? I don't know, because that means we're losing games. So it's a toss up.
I think Bill's the type of coach, though, that's not going to throw out wouldn't put Mac in just because we're losing. If you think the offense is too stale, then I could also see him just yanking him in week 3. But that doesn't make sense. I think the earliest of Mac Jones isn't the starter that we see him is week 5. You're not going to throw Mac Jones in week 4 against the Bucs and Tom Brady with all that pressure. Because let's face it, if Mac Jones is in that game and that's his first game, we're going to lose like 48-24. Guaranteed.
I'll tell you what, though. I would love to see that. Tom Brady's return to New England. You got Tom Brady Jr. versus Tom Brady. That would be amazing. And I say that facetiously, Tom Brady Jr., because it's the unathletic kid that can't throw, that doesn't have great arm strength, whatever. But I would love to see that. I know we'd get our ass kicked, but it'd be fun to watch.
It definitely would be fun. And then the fun would leave in the first quarter when they're up like 21-3 and you're just like, oh my God, we only scored off of a fumble.
That's probably going to be, I don't have high hopes for that game. I don't know what's week 1, 2, and 3 going to look like. We focus on today here in Patriots Nation. I don't have high hope for that game. I think Tom Brady is going to come here and just absolutely dominate.
I think it really just depends on how our defense looks. And the way that our defense looked last year looked honestly as good as it could have looked with a bunch of spare parts. So the Patriots, no matter what about the offensive outlook, is the defense is going to be the heart and soul of the team, and anything the offense brings is honestly a bonus. Yeah,
I totally agree with that. I mean, that's a very good point. Defense got to win championships, and with Cam Newton or Mac Jones, defense got to step up. So tonight we're going to be focused on the offense. Really, we already started with the quarterbacks. Next week we're going to get into the defense, and we'll also break down the preseason game 1 against the Washington football team. It's all going to kind of mix. So what else are you looking for with the offense? I mean, we do have receivers. We have some new running backs. What's your kind of, just off the top, first impression of this offense besides Cam and Mac?
The biggest thing in terms of the offense, I think everyone's going to look automatically to the flashy new weapons we have. I'm looking more specifically at the running back room because Bill, for some reason, has this weird fascination with not letting one running back kind of handle the bulk of carries. And I know we have James White, who's the pass catching specialist. And I'm not saying we should change that, but I'm honestly in the mindset that we should probably have Damian Harris take 90% of the first and second down snaps. We don't have another utility back in our backfield anymore. Sony Michel, you would think he has nubs for hands at this point. The dude can't catch at all. He hasn't been able to catch or develop catching since he got into the NFL. When we won the Super Bowl and he was one of the best players in that Rams Super Bowl, we all thought, oh my God, finally, another good running back since like Corey Dillon, which is the Patriots have been saying that for so many years. We've watched Ben Jarvis Green Ellis trudge through here. We watched Stephen Ridley. It's been running back after running back after running back with no one there. But Damian Harris showed a lot of potential last year. I mean, the dude also can't catch, which is great because, God forbid we have one that can do both. But he showed a ton, not with having no touchdowns because Cam's a touchdown vulture in the end zone. But that's what you have to do when you have an absolutely like a refrigerator of a man at the 1 yard line who can just run it in at free will.
Yeah, I mean, what's the best football teams? I mean, obviously you need a quarterback to win the NFL. I'm not saying you don't, but the best football teams, even in the NFL, can run the football, right? So we look at the running back room. That's important. We look at the offensive line. I'm pumped about the offensive line. I think it's going to be awesome. I'm a little disappointed David Andrews with the broken hand or whatever. He's going to miss a few weeks, I believe, but which kind of sucks. It really does suck, but I do think we're going to be able to run the football this year, which is promising. As long as Cam Newton is not doing it just shotgun draw, running up the middle, because that does not work all the time. As we saw, it's the NFL.
Yeah. Congrats to David Andrews, by the way, for having a child today.
Yep, David Andrews, and I don't know what his wife's name is, but I see her on Instagram before. Yeah, they're like the Georgia. You know what's cool on the are you a country music fan?
Somewhat.
Okay, so you know the Riley Green song? Do you know, like, I love you, son, go Dogs?
No, I do not.
Okay, well, if you know it, listen to it or go on David Andrews' Instagram. He ended his Instagram with "Love you, son, go Dogs" as a Riley Green. So that's as country as you freaking get from David Andrews. That's a guy that wants to run the freaking football right there. Just a country music guy that wants to freaking road grade. That's the word. Freaking road grade people. I was an offensive lineman. I can't even get the verbiage out. But yeah, so I'm excited about the run game. The person I'm most excited just off the top, Kristen Wilkerson. I mean, just an unsung guy. We weren't expecting much from him going to the camp, and he's turning into one of those legit receivers. I think he has a big game tomorrow night.
Yeah, definitely for sure. Also in that same vein, N'Keal Harry apparently has rehabilitated his entire career.
He's getting traded. Come on, he's going to get traded.
No, I was out. I thought 2 weeks ago he was done. I was like, no one's going to even buy it, like want to trade for him. We're going to have to just cut him as one of our last cuts, and it's just going to be like, another great wide receiver to go with the Aaron Dobsons of the world. But now I've seen his camp footage. He looks kind of good. I'm not saying he's going to be a starter, but like Bill could throw him in certain sets, and I wouldn't be disappointed anymore.
He's going to get traded. Like, here's what's going to happen. All right, Bill's going to have the whole freaking starting offense not in the game tomorrow night, and N'Keal Harry's going to play 4 quarters. He's going to dominate, and then Bill's going to trade for him on Thursday. Bill will trade for him on Friday. He's going to cut him. Someone's going to pick him up, but Bill's going to throw him out there, get him a lot of value, let him dominate against Washington's 3s and 4s, and then get a really good value for him. I think personally.
If there was a money like a bet I could place for if N'Keal Harry will be on the 53-man roster, I'd say it's kind of close now. Before, I would say it was an odds-on favorite. He wouldn't be on the team. But Bill doesn't want to admit he makes mistakes when it comes to drafting. Yeah. Like, we never see him offensive. He's like one of the worst offensive drafters of all time. But then people in the comments would just be like, oh, what about Gronk and Hernandez? What about Edelman in the 7th? How did he even see that? Most of the Patriots' offensive talent comes from other teams that Bill just snags up for a cheap bargain dollar. Like Wes, Hogan, Brandon Lloyd a few years ago. It's never homegrown offensive weaponry with the wide receivers.
But, you talk about the offensive drafting of Bill Belichick. He did draft Tom Brady. So everything else he did doesn't matter anymore because he drafted the greatest player of all time in the 7th or the seventh round, right? 6th round. I mean. Yeah, 7th, 6th quarterback.
No, 6th.
6th round.
So 199.
Pick 199. There it is. Yeah, we're losing our minds here already. But pick 199. I just miss Tom Brady. I miss him so much. But yeah, Bill's not a great drafter. Bill loves small white wide receivers. He loves slot receivers that just catch the football. So I think he's drafted pretty well. I mean, if you get Edelman and you get Brady, that's two pretty good offensive draft picks out of your career.
My counter argument would be that Bill has had the lifespan of about 5 GMs who've gotten fired for their terrible offensive picks in that time. So if you really count the amount of hits versus the amount of misses in the whole thing, it's pretty staggering. And Tom Brady's the biggest, like, let's get rid of all my mistakes off the whiteboard material there is. It's like, yeah, well, I drafted Tom Brady. And then they're like, oh, you're right, Bill. You are good at drafting. Ernie Adams totally wasn't the one who loved him. It's cool.
And when they drafted Tom Brady, they had the intention of probably cutting him in the future.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. Drew Bledsoe was on the roster. They just paid him a massive extension. Bill wasn't thinking like under his breath, like, Tom will look really good in like 3 years. I can see it.
Yeah, definitely. Now, with N'Keal Harry, though, I want to talk about him for a minute because all this dude can play. He can play number one on either side of the field. You can't bring him in and have him play the slot. He's not elusive. And unless he's going to be that big play receiver and go up and catch everything, I don't want him on this team, especially because he doesn't want to be here.
I think he didn't want to be here because we weren't using him. And now we're force feeding him targets. So at the end of the day, you're right. He is a very limited wide receiver. He can literally only do one thing. He is not versatile. He has like no speed. He has no quick first 2-step separation. He has no separation. He's like Allen Robinson. I'm not saying he's Allen Robinson at all. So don't misquote me by saying N'Keal Harry is the next Allen Robinson. But all Allen Robinson can really do is win one-on-ones, and he has no separation ever. If N'Keal Harry can do anything somewhat close to that, we don't have another player on this roster at the wide receiver core that can do that. Aguilar's a deep threat. Bourne can do slot and a little more mid-range passing. Jacoby Myers is literally only going to run slot. At the end of those 3 spots are locked. Everyone else, it's kind of free game. We don't have a big body wide receiver. You could argue the 2 tight ends could do that, but it depends on how we use the 2 tight ends, I guess.
I think we pull. Okay, so here's my proposal. You ready for this? Yeah. All right, we got Hunter Henry's hurt right now. All right, we got Jonnu Smith. I think we start Mac Jones. I think we move Cam to the second tight end. We have him block someone and see if he's tough enough to block. You know what? That's like Tim. He's like a Tim Tebow to me. He can't throw the football. He was good at one point, and now he's not good anymore.
I've heard the idea of Cam kind of being used as a Taysom Hill type package, which is a little insulting to Cam because I still would take Cam over Taysom Hill, honestly, as bad as Cam has looked in the past. But the prospect of using him in like Wildcat type formations kind of sounds enticing. It's just super degrading to Cam Newton to the point where he would refuse to do it. I don't care how good of a teammate he is on paper. By the way, just want to say, as much as I don't like Cam Newton as our quarterback, I don't dislike him as a person at all. He's a great guy. This has nothing to do with him as a person.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I love Cam. Like I do. Like I would get it. Like I was thinking about getting a Cam Newton jersey last year.
I was wearing a Cam Newton jersey right now.
That's a bad move because it's going to have no value when Mac Jones is under center this year. So
I'll draw a 0 right here.
Yeah, well, okay. I was going to get a Cam Newton jersey, and I'm like, all right, I probably shouldn't do that because it's not going to have any value. But I could. You're right. You could just draw the 0 on there when Mac Jones wears number 10. But we don't know if Mac Jones wears number 10. He's wearing 50 right now, which is making me go nuts because I really want a Mac Jones jersey. All right, let's keep going here. We'll talk offensive additions. Jonnu Smith. All right. I love this pick. This was the best signing of the whole free agency period. And when they went out, it said when they went out and got Jonnu Smith and they got Hunter Henry, it said we're here to make a statement this year. Now, how do you think we're going to use him at all? Is he going to be able to block it all? You think?
Jonnu Smith, he literally will do everything. Bill is going to have like daydreams upon daydreams of how he's been using Jonnu Smith. He is. When we played the Titans 2 years ago, he was praising Jonnu Smith in the playoff presser about how versatile of a player he was. I was like, Bill, focus on the game. But, Bill's a man of his own word. He does what he wants. They're going to use him. Like the Titans last year used him in running back as certain sets. And I'm not saying like as a gimmick, like they actually handed him the ball. It was like, all right, Jonnu, here you go. Just run straight up the middle, see what happens. Bill's going to use him out wide, inside, probably at running back sometimes. Think about what we did with Cordero Patterson kind of a few years ago, where we kind of threw him all over the field to the point where his position was literally just like the fantasy equivalent of flex, like the flex position in fantasy football. That's what Jonnu's going to do for this offense. I'm so excited to see how we use him. I think he'll be Cam's security blanket or Max, honestly, from like this point onward.
I have one fear with him. I have one fear. So we look at, I looked up a stat in 2020 at like a 61.4% blocking percentage. Okay. When we were really good, Gronk could really block. Like, let's be real. Like he was a solid blocker. Jonnu Smith should be able to block. He's a big body, but I think we do need him to block. I think we need to ask him to block. And I just don't know if he's going to be able to do that at a high enough level for us to run the football. And our quarterback situation so sketchy right now. Is someone going to be able to get him the football?
Yeah, I think another thing about comparing him to Rob Gronkowski is that the reason Gronk was such a great tight end, besides the fact that he was a beast in the receiving game, was that he was probably the best blocking tight end in the NFL and probably one of the best blocking tight ends of all time. Because before Gronk, tight ends were mostly just purely blocking. They didn't really do anything else. Gronk kind of shaped into what Travis Kelce is now. Travis Kelce is a decent blocker himself. I don't think Jonnu Smith is in that same range as Rob Gronkowski because I don't think his number will be called to Canton anytime soon. But I think that if he can block, if we're doing 2 tight end sets, we're basically going to have like a great wall just right in front of the offense. So we're also like one of the strongest offensive line groups in the entire NFL. So having mediocre blocking tight ends along with an elite offensive line is going to make the work and the expectation on the tight ends a lot less.
Yeah, definitely. So let's start breaking down this game a little bit. I mean, we've talked a good amount about the offense, what we're going to see, but we'll talk about the storylines that we're looking for. Before we get into that, though, Caesar Sportsbook, risk-free bet up to $5,000 if you use our promo code SPORTS20RF. SPORTS20RF, same states as Bet Rivers. You're going to get a $5,000 risk up to $5,000. So you could bet 100 and you lose, you'll get that money back in free bet credits. You need it on the preseason because anything can happen in the preseason. We hear Brian Hoyer starting tomorrow night. That's not confirmed. But if it is confirmed, we were the first to drop it if it is confirmed. But yeah, you're going to need risk-free bets in the preseason because anything can happen. We look at the Washington football team. I think this is like the 23rd time they've played them in the preseason. 23rd time. They played the Giants 29. This is the second most competitions against a team in the preseason. I don't care if we win. I don't care if we lose. I want to see Cam Newton and I want to see Mac Jones. That's my biggest thing. We can talk about the defense a little bit, but I'm really looking for this quarterback battle and what's Mac Jones going to look like with meaningful reps.
Yeah, I'm looking for like how this offense is going to look because let's face it, it's going to be 2 completely different things depending on who starts. I'm interested to see actually if it does switch system-wise between the quarterbacks. If Brian Hoyer plays, I'm like we said, I'm changing the channel. I'm looking somewhere else, honestly. Yeah. And going back to Caesar Sportsbook, I would probably bet that N'Keal Harry gets over 50 yards because if he's like what you said, and he's going to play all game, yeah. He's going to his over/under for yardage. I would want to know that. But at the end of the day, if Cam's not playing and if Mac Jones isn't playing, I actually will probably watch what Ramondre Stevens does, that running back out of Arkansas. He's been compared a lot to LeGarrette Blount, which is a very lazy comparison. I feel like it's like when Mac Jones got drafted, I saw a lot of comments on Twitter that was like, oh my God, Greg McElroy 2.0. Oh my God, he's white and he went to Alabama. That's an insane comparison. How do they come up with this stuff? AJ McCarron, it's just like, it's so lazy. But Ramondre Stevens brings he does bring that punch to the offense. Damian Harris is kind of a punch, but he's more elusive. Sony Michel is probably going to get cut, if I'm being honest. Doesn't seem like he's impressing that much.
They can trade for him. I bet they get a decent deal. You know what? They're going to throw him in a deal with N'Keal Harry and get one good player for him.
Knowing the Jets, they'd be like, 2 Patriots are available? Sure. N'Keal Harry? Awesome. I remember when they took Kendrick Thompson or Kembrell Tompkins from us after the Saints game. And then they were like, oh my God, you mean he's not good without Tom Brady? That's such a weird concept. They also have Braxton Berrios, so they just like to collect our scraps.
Yeah. I wish we had I like Braxton.
We have Gunnar Olszewski.
Yeah, we have Gunnar. Gunner's the first player on our intro. We didn't even talk about Gunnar tonight.
Pour one out for Gunnar.
Yeah.
It looks like he's going to have punt return reps for another year, and that's it.
There we go. You know what? We got a punt return, and we just don't have a kicker right now. We got a kicker who was on LinkedIn looking up where he's going to go to college. You saw that?
He's having a fantastic camp. Today, I think he went 14 for 14.
Okay. I'll believe it when I see it in the stadium. When he hits one from 50 tomorrow night, I'll say he's legit. Nick Folk was good. I mean, I miss. Where'd Nick Folk go? Did he just say I'm not coming to football? He's have COVID. I didn't see that.
No, he's hurt. I think he pulled something in his leg. I would hope it's his leg because that's the only thing he uses. If he pulled like a tricep doing something, I'd be a little concerned what Nick Folt's doing on the side.
Yeah. So anyway, we'll keep going here. Washington, you like Ramon? I like Ramondre Stevenson too. I mean, like LeGarrette Blount, he is kind of like LeGarrette Blount to me. I'm not maybe his work ethic's a little better. I don't know. He's about 6 foot.
It can't be worse.
He can't be worse. But the dude's like 6 foot. The dude looks like an offensive lineman running the football that can run a 40-yard dash. So I am very excited to watch him run the ball. I mean, that's the kind of guy we need with this offensive line to say, hey, we're here. We mean business. Let's rock and roll.
Mm-hmm. Bill loves to smash the ball down the middle. If Bill could run the ball every play offensively, he just would.
Yeah.
That's who Bill is. He's like the old guy in the room. He's just like, back when I was a player in the Navy in the 1960s, we ran the ball the entire time.
Yeah. You know what, though? I love that. I love, as an offensive lineman, former offensive lineman, I love that mentality saying, hey, we're going to line up. We're going to run the football. It's you versus me. Who's going to win the battle? I don't know if we will win the battle most of the time because you do need a great passing attack to mix it in, because then they can just bring everyone down the box if they know. That's what happened to us last year. Everyone they loaded the box and we couldn't do anything about it.
Yeah, so. I mean, the offense is super easy to predict in that Seattle game when it was the last 4 plays of the game and Cam was in the same exact spot in shotgun 4 straight times. And it's like, am I going to run it to the left or the right? It doesn't matter because we stacked the box and you just got stuffed 4 straight times. Thanks, Cam.
We'll throw in a power read, or we'll throw in a read option. We'll still get stuffed. Cam will pull it, and it'll get stuffed in the back. That's just how it works. Yep. All right, Corey. So we're coming up here. We're over a half hour now, so we'll start wrapping things up. But I want one final thought from you for tomorrow night's game, whatever you're most looking forward to watching, unless it's Brian Hoyer, and then you're going to be watching a different game, of course.
I definitely just want to see how these wide receivers set up, because I feel like we have a lot of versatile wide receivers now, where they can kind of do a lot of different things. I'm not expecting Jacoby Myers to be anything but slot, but I want to see more. Kendrick Bourne is the player I actually want to watch. I already know what Aguilar, if he succeeds with the Patriots, what he's going to do. He's going to be a deep threat. That's pretty much it. Kendrick Bourne is kind of the mystery, because he didn't get a ton of tread in San Francisco, but a decent enough that you could go online and kind of get a good idea of what he's about. But I feel like Bill will use him in more unique sets than Kyle Shanahan had to as like the 3rd or 4th string wide receiver.
Yeah, so I'm going to go away from the offense. I know we didn't talk about defense tonight, but we're going to talk about that next week. I want to see Josh Uche rush the passer. I want to see how efficient he is rushing the passer. Last year showed some promise, 9 games, 1 start, had a few sacks, I believe. But I want to see this dude get after the passer. He's had a good camp from what I hear, and I'm looking forward to watching some defense, because we're going to have to lean on the defense this year a lot.
To piggyback off what you said, I would also want to watch how Chase Winovich looks, because he's low-key on the bubble, I think, for the roster. I mean, he's been pretty underwhelming. I would say he'd be a surprise cut. I'm not saying it's like a guarantee, but the Patriots were one of the worst teams at getting to the quarterback last year.
Yeah.
And he's one of the 2 starting defensive ends, and now he's 2nd string. I don't think Bill's going to keep rotating them in and out if he doesn't get the pressure that he's looking for.
What round did we take him in? Didn't we take him high? I
believe it was the 3rd.
3rd round. Like, you shouldn't be talking about cutting a 3rd round draft pick. That's my fear.
It's like 3 years out, though. I feel like
2019, 2020. So this is his 3rd season.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I mean, that's just like, you know what though? He's the definition of a Patriot though. From like what I see on Instagram, and I think Bill Belichick loves him. That doesn't not mean that doesn't mean anything if the best player is going to play, obviously.
Yeah.
But yeah, if we get after the passer a little bit tomorrow night, I'll be happy. Whoever's going to be in the backfield for the Washington football team, I do not know. They got three decent guys, so we'll see. But if you're looking to bet this game, do it on Caesar Sportsbook, because it's risk free, and Brian Hoyer could start a quarterback tomorrow night.
If it's Brian Hoyer, I would put your bet somewhere else.
So wait, let's see what the spread is real quick for this. What do you think the Patriots? I did not look at the spread for the game. The point spread.
If they have the Brian Hoyer inkling, I would say it's probably us -5 or +5. I'd say us +5, because I think they're going to start Fitz tomorrow. They're going to try to get him acclimated to the offense for Washington.
Let's see what we're doing tomorrow. Okay, so we got Patriots are -2.5. So the Patriots are favored at home. The over/under is 44.5. Oh my God, bet the under.
Bet the under and tie it with Washington. Parlay the 2 together. Washington and The under.
If you don't bet the under of 44.5, you're crazy. So that does it, guys. I mean, that was a fun show, Corey. I had a blast there. Subscribe to the Sports 2.0 Network. Any final thoughts for the listeners tonight?
I hope Brian Hoyer slips in the shower so we can't start him. That's my thought.
I hope Mac Jones gets the start, and I hope he just absolutely goes out there and dominates and puts Cam Newton on his heels a little bit. That's my final thought for the night. Thanks for watching, guys. Really appreciate it. We'll be back next week. Either we got to figure out a day, probably Tuesday or earlier Wednesday, but we'll talk about that. And that does it for Ring Chasers. Hope everyone has a good night. Go Patriots. Let's go get a win tomorrow night, and we will talk to you next week.